pause on finishing up the rest of the chore charts right now because I forgot. I need to go to the barn and get some canning jars to do my chicken stock with. I gotta get those in the dishwasher and make sure that they're all sanitized and everything. So I'm going to do that real quick, and then I won't show you me doing the rest of the chore charts because that's just mind-numbing and boring. But we're going to get the jars in the dishwasher. I'm going to, actually, I think I'm going to try to get the tomatoes in the crock pot, and then I'm going to get some more chicken in a stock pot and get those going, and then I'll come back to the chore charts and the meal planning and stuff like that. Right here you can see we have our tomatoes in our crock pot. I've got my pressure canner on the stove. Now I've had people ask me about, like, if you look, we have a smooth top stove here. In the house that we're going to move in Dayton, we have a smooth top stove there also. People have asked me, you know, can you use it, because I've heard that you can crack your smooth top stove because of the weight of the pressure canner. I've been doing it for about a year. I've had no problems with it. I think that maybe if you had like 2 of them going, the weight might be too much, but I've seen other people, I believe Janal, he does his on a smooth top stove too, so, and he hasn't had any issues. You just have to be careful, I think, with the weight and the amount that you put in here. I usually put about 7 to 8 quarts in here of chicken stock, and I've not had any issues with anything happening to the smooth top stove. Alright, so I had my chicken stock. I made 2 batches of it, and I had it sitting in the refrigerator overnight so that it would, the fat would kind of solidify on the top, and so I just scraped all of that off and put it in the bowl here, which is not very appetizing. So we're going to get rid of that, and then I am just going to, I've sanitized all my jars and my ladle and my little funnel that goes in here, and I'm just going to go ahead and fill these jars and then put them down in the pressure canner. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put these jars in my pressure canner here. And the one thing that I'm going to do before I turn it on and I start pressure canning them is I'm going to put about a quarter of a cup of white vinegar in here, and that'll keep the outside of your jars from getting super cloudy. So I've just noticed that helps with that. So let me find my vinegar real quick. Here it is. And I'm just going to kind of eyeball it. There you go. A couple of splashes of vinegar, and that should work. So, and then we're going to just put our lid on, and I have to make sure my arrows are facing the right way. So I think it's this way. Then we're going to turn this on, and I have to refer back to my ball canning book, but I believe it is 15 pounds of pressure for 25 minutes. I'm not sure about that, so that's why I always keep that book around so I can refer back to it. And it also depends on what elevation you are. I think we're about 700 feet above sea level, so depending on how high or low you are, that will change the time and the amount of pressure, I guess, that you use with the pressure canner. So, yeah, I'm going to get this going. I've got about an hour left for my bread to raise, so I'm going to go back to making the kids' chore charts and then start working on the pantry inventory, our Thrive Life inventory, and our freezer inventory. So I looked up how long and how much pressure you needed to can your quart jars of chicken stock. For me, where I am, I need 10 pounds of pressure, and they need to be in there for 25 minutes. So I had that wrong at the beginning where I said it was 15 pounds and 25 minutes. It's 10 pounds of pressure and 25 minutes. Okay, I don't know if you can tell, but it's starting, that little valve there, steam is starting to come out of it. So my water is starting to boil. I think you can probably hear it. And so I'm going to put the little weight on there, and then it'll start building up pressure. And then see down here, this little thing here will pop up, and then it'll start building pressure on your gauge, and you want it to be at 10 pounds of pressure is where it needs to be. Alright, so that little guy just popped up. Oh, be careful, that's hot. So now I'm going to keep an eye on my gauge, and when it gets to 10 pounds, I'm going to start lowering the heat on it because you don't want it to come up so quickly, because it can come up really quickly and then you're going over and you have a chance of shattering your jars if you do that. So I'm going to leave it on high for right now until it gets about like maybe 8 pounds of pressure, and then I'll turn it down to like medium and then like adjust the heat as I go just to make sure that I'm not going above 10 pounds of pressure. I don't know if you can see, but it's almost up to 10 pounds of pressure now. And I've turned it down. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fiddle with this until I get it up to 10 pounds of pressure. I can go a little bit over, but I don't like going much over. But it's almost ready for me to set the timer for 25 minutes. All right, so there I am up to 10 pounds of pressure. I had to set the timer on the microwave because my timer on my oven is set for my bread. So I'm watching it now, and it's going to go for 25 minutes, and then we'll pull those jars out. Well, we won't pull them out, but you have to let it cool down and let all the pressure escape from there, or kind of come down before you can take those jars out. All right, so our timer has gone off for our pressure canner. So we're going to go ahead and turn everything off here. And if you can see, it's still at about 10 pounds of pressure. So we're going to move this completely off the heat. We're going to move it over here, just like that. And we're going to let this come all the way down. So it's got to come all the way down to here. I don't know if you can see there, right here where my finger is, all the way down to 0 before you can even think about taking that lid off, or you'll have an enormous mess. Don't do it. Just don't do it. Just wait for the pressure to go down. Leave this little guy on there. I leave it on there till about like maybe, like it's down to like maybe 2, which is pretty far. But so that way, like your jars don't shatter or anything like that. There are my 6 quarts of chicken stock. If you notice, I put them on a towel. You never, 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 never want to set your chicken stock or anything you can right onto the countertop, because if you do, the fluctuation in temperature can crack the bottom of your jars, and then you'll have a huge mess. But you're going to let these sit for 24 hours. Don't move them. Don't mess with them. None of that stuff. Actually, the one in the back, I don't know if you can see it, but it's got bubbles coming up in it. This one does too here. So it's still kind of raging hot and boiling. So it's just coming down from that. But you're going to be listening for that ping, that pop, and it'll tell you if your jars have sealed.